Oh boy, that time is now. It has been a long and arduous, but hey, I said I was going to teach people how to do be on Rails. On Rails. Didn't cut out just then, did I? Using my headphones, microphone, time for this. Someone give me an audio check. Like, is my mic cutting or anything like that? I'm looking at the waveform and sometimes tripping. These are several lines. Testing, testing. My microphone being dumb. Oh, that Claudio, that sucks. Yeah, it is cutting. One momento. Hell yeah. Let me get my other mics. Stand by. Testing. Is this better? Oh yeah, that's way better. Yeah, then I can mute. All right. Yes, I've had fun in Blender. Yeah, it's louder and in better quality. Now let's go ahead and jump over to VS Code. Huzzah! Welcome to the wonderful world of my laptop cannot display my full desktop. I have to pick individual windows because, you know, man, I need to build my new computer. Let's actually jump over there. Okay, so tonight I'm going to be showing some of the ropes of building shit in Ruby on Rails because, you know, it's what I do. Um, Specifically, what I'm going to be building is a package tracker called Where's My Stuff? I was originally going to call it Where's My Shit, but I feel like that's not going to look very good if I stick that on my GitHub and people are like, oh, wow, that's very unprofessional. Anyway, yeah. First thing I want to do before we dig too deep into it is just kind of go over some of the bare bones basics. Ruby on Rails is a web framework. It is a somewhat heavy one, but it's my favorite web framework because it does a lot of the really annoying shit for you. So you've got templating, you've got database connectivity, you've got all that stuff right out of the box. You don't need to do anything special at all. It's just there, it's built in. All you have to do is type Rails new and you're rolling. Like as soon as that command finishes, you can jump into the directory, type Rails server, and you're good to go. But the way it does that is it generates a whole bunch of files. Like, look at all these files. I've barely touched this. I did do a couple things just to like set up the getignore file and all that stuff, but generally speaking, oh yeah, I was gonna bump this up. Tell you what, let's see here. Can somebody tell me if this stuff is legible? Do I need to make this bigger? Can you read the text on the screen? Bump that up. Let's see. I think that should be okay. All right. Good to know. So, yeah, it generates a ton of file. Okay, cool. Yeah, when you run Rails new, it generates a ton of different files. And so, real quick, I'm just going to go over the directories and whatnot. All this stuff down here, this is all utility stuff, like the browser list. I don't even know what that does. Get attributes. This is a new one. I think this is a Rails 6.1 thing, but it appears to mark some of the files in the repo that were generated. I'm not entirely sure what that actually does about that, but I haven't read this, so I don't know. Here's your good old getignore, which you will want to add this line down here. More on that in a second. But yeah, generally, what getignore does is it makes sure that if a file shows up in here or a directory shows up in here, Git completely ignores it. Like you'll notice the node modules folder up here is grayed out. That's because it's ignoring that. It does not care about anything going on in there, and you shouldn't. Either it contains secrets or it contains stuff that doesn't matter. Ruby version, that just keeps track of the Ruby version. I guess, oh yeah, we are using Ruby 3.0, which just released like a couple weeks ago. And we're also running on Rails 6.1.0. This Babel config, don't know what that does. Config.ru, don't know what that does. Gem file, this one's important. This is all of the dependencies. When you first generate your Rails project, Rails sets this up for you, but it just goes through and lists a bunch of different gems and the reasons why they've added it, and gives a couple suggestions like gem Redis and bcrypt if you want to encrypt things. We'll go over this a little bit more later, possibly. Yeah. Oh yeah, because we are going to be adding a gem to it, like gemfile.lock. This, don't touch this yourself because this is a generated file. It is a literal list of every single dependency in the project, and if you go messing with it yourself, it's just going to get stomped on. So be careful of that. Package.json, because there are a couple things. There are some things within Rails that actually do use Node.js, like Webpacker for JavaScripts and stuff like that. You have a package.json. You don't really mess with this much unless you really want to play with the JavaScript side of things, which I'm sorry. Post CSS config.js, don't know what that does, never really messed with it. What does it do? Module exports, plugins. Oh, I guess like you'd come here if you wanted to add like Tailwind, I'm guessing. Might be wrong about that. Fetching data for better TypeScript IntelliSense. Well, I'm glad you're doing that, but that's not really useful to me right now. There's a rake file. Let's see. The rake file, doesn't that just... Oh yeah, this is one of those files that I hardly ever touch. But... Let's see. I don't think you touch this because most of that stuff goes elsewhere. Of course, there's a README file and yarn.lock. Same thing as gemfile.lock. It's a lock file. Don't touch it. Yeah, so the directory. Oh yeah, Yeah, that is true. Post CSS does let you do more than what native CSS allows. I think for Rails specifically, Rails likes to use Sass, but you can swap that out with something else. As for the directories, there are a lot of directories here, and you're not going to use all of them, but you need to leave most of them alone. App. This is where your application is stored. This is the important one. You're going to be spending most of your time inside of the app folder. It is literally the equivalent of a source folder or SRC in a lot of other languages. Bin, that's your binaries. If you have utilities or you have something you want to be able to run from the command line, you can do silly things like bundle exec Rails server, and that'll actually run this right here. Well, bundle exec, bundle exec, I guess, basically means, hey, look for a binary folder and then run something inside of it. I think. I could be wrong about it. I don't usually use bundle exec for that stuff, but you can have other utility binaries in here, like something that'll run your entire test suite if you don't just use rspec or minitest. Config, you'll poke this one occasionally. This is where your application's configuration is set. So your storage.yaml, database.yaml, you'll notice this is grayed out because I've ignored it, and you want to ignore it too because it can potentially contain credentials. Don't ever want to check credentials into your repository. But yeah, you got your application.rb, which is like general configuration. What time zone is this in? What do I use to do X? What do I use to do Y? That all gets defined in here. You've got environments, so you can set up how the application runs in various different environments. For the most part, development.rb is what you should be concerned with. And production, that's when you want to run it in production, obviously. So some things are going to run a little bit differently depending on the environment you're in. Rails comes bundled with 3 out of the box: development, production, and test. Development is what you develop in, obviously. If you get an error, if you hit an error while running the Rails server in development mode, it will give you nice, detailed error messages. It'll tell you what you messed up, where, what the error is, and it'll even give you little hints like, hey, we noticed you said this. Did you actually mean to say this very close thing? And that saved my ass more than a few times. You will not, however, see that if it's running in production mode, because Rails is smart and it'll check the environment where it serves errors and stuff like that. It'll just give a generic, the application encountered a 500 error. And then there's test, which only runs in test mode. Don't actually run Rails server in test mode. If you're running your test suite, that's where this comes in. Run the test suite, it's running in the test environment. Yeah, don't generally run it. Initializers, stuff you don't generally have to deal with. Locales, if you're interested in translations and stuff like that, locales may be of interest to you. Webpack, never touched it, but I'm assuming that has to do with Webpacker, which is a JavaScript thing. Lets you do fancy JS stuffs. But yeah, also, this master.key file, I don't think I need to tell you this. Don't check this into the repo. Thankfully, Rails now actually has this added to the getignore by default, but so you shouldn't have to worry about it. Yeah. Database.yaml, I'm running SQLite, so I don't really care if you see this. This is where you define your connections to the database. Like, for example, like the default, the adapter is SQLite. You can set this to Postgres, MySQL, whatever you feel like. Just make sure you stick a gem in your gem file to pull the adapter for it. Oh yeah, saying default getignores are wonderful things indeed. I totally agree. But as you can see here, you can determine your default. You can determine databases per environment if you like. So you'll see the development environment is a file called db development SQLite 3 and test.sqlite 3 for the test, production for production, etc., etc. But yeah, this is where you'd stick like your port information. If you really wanted to be scary, you could stick in like your username and password for the database you're trying to connect to. I don't recommend it, but Rails will follow it if you do. Just make sure you don't check it into the repo. It's bad news bears, kids. So that's pretty much got it for the config directory. Database. You'll be poking this every now and then, but not really writing to it all that much. This file right here, schema.rb, is important. This is the state of your database. It is the de facto, shut up phone, it is the de facto state of your database. As you make changes to your database, this file will automatically update. Do not touch it yourself. It'll do it by itself. But this will tell you like, okay, I have this table. It has these fields. This is a foreign key for this thing over here, etc., etc. This thing is like, it is the master list of the state of your database in terms of like table structure and all that good stuff. Seeds file, in case you need example data. Like, for example, you have a user, like, you have a user model and you want to not have to create a new user every single time you run the application and or reset your database, because spoiler alert, you're going to be resetting your database frequently, especially during early development. If you don't want to reset the database every single time you do that, this file comes in handy. Or like if you don't want to have to create a new user every single time you reset the DB, just toss in a couple users in this file here and then run Rails DB seed, and that'll take care of it for you. It'll make it for you. Make your life easier. Lib. I don't really mess with this too terribly much, but if you have automated tasks or special assets that you need, they go in here. You probably won't be messing with this much at all. Log, hardly ever touched, but if you're running into errors, you may want to give this a poke. Node modules, pretend this doesn't exist. It might as well not. Public. Now, some of you may be thinking, oh, public, just like what would be in like Apache or Nginx. This is where all my files go, right? Wrong. Don't touch this. The only thing you should be messing with is the favicon.ico, and maybe like if you want to customize your error pages, those go here. But generally speaking, this is no man's land. Don't mess with this. This is static files. Rails has no part in serving those. So stay out of those. Storage. If you have a file uploader, storage goes in here or wherever else you specify. Test. This is a big one. You might also see this called spec, depending on what your test suite is. This is where your test suite lives and breathes. All of your tests for every little thing under the sun live inside of here. The temp directory, be sure to clean this out occasionally. Just be like Rails temp dash clear. That'll clear it out for you. Sometimes this gets a little bit bulky, but this is for temp stuff. Minimize that. Vendor. Apparently this is where you stick gems that aren't necessarily yours to maintain, but other people maintain. Apparently they go in here. I've never really messed with it, and I've never seen other people really mess with it, so there's that. Now, going into the big boy folder, app. Assets. This is where you'd stick your images, your style sheets, etc., etc. All that stuff goes in here. I've never really messed with assets config. That's a new one. Oh, I guess that must refer to like for JavaScript related things, judging by the manifest.js. But yeah. Channels, never touched it. But apparently that's like if you want pub sub stuff, if you have pub sub stuff going on or like live data, That's where that would live. We don't need it for anything, so that's probably going to get deleted just so I can reduce clutter. Controllers, you'll be in here all the time. Controllers, if you're in any way, shape, or form familiar with MVC architecture, this is the C in MVC. Helpers, nice little utility tools, usually used from within controllers in this context, I believe. Let's see, are there view helpers? No, they're not. Okay, so it can be used from within views as well, I believe. Yeah. JavaScript. I have no idea what JavaScript does. What could JavaScript possibly do? Jobs. This one. I've not really messed with this, but I would assume like this is if you need something going on off to the side after you trigger something in a controller or something, that would probably wind up in here if I understand this correctly. Mailers, if you need to send mail, you're going to be playing around in this directory. Rails comes with a built-in mailer system. It does it so you don't have to. Thank God for that. Models. This is a big boy directory. This is where all of your this is where your data goes in terms of like if you have a user model. Well, I just called it a user model. Spoilers. You're gonna have a model.rb in here. Or no, a user.rb in here. This is how you define what a single instance of a user is through this. We'll be messing with this very shortly. And of course, your views. This is the last stop on this little train before we get into actually writing code and messing with stuff. This is where all your templates live. By default, Rails ships with ERB, which is embedded Ruby. You'll notice this looks an awful lot like HTML. That's because it is. Except you get these fancy little tags, and a lot of E languages, I guess you could call them, like EJS, ERB, EXS. They have this little notation. This is dynamic. So what this actually is, this is a Ruby. Like this is Ruby in here. It's embedded Ruby. And you'll see stuff like style link tag, like style sheet link tag. This generates something using Rails with these as the arguments. We are actually going to be swapping out ERB for Haml just because, yes. And stuff like that. So yeah, you'll also be spending a lot of time in here. So MVC, surprise, surprise, you're spending a lot of time in models, views, and controllers. Okay, so what are we actually doing? Well, if I can draw your attention over to this, here we have a board of what we're actually going to be doing this evening. An awful lot like ASP. I don't think I've ever actually messed with ASP, but take your word for it. Right now we're going to work on some initial setup. As I said before, I kind of want to get rid of ERB and go with something a little more, I don't know, Haml. Just because, yes. Set up Haml in the view engine. Save RSpec for number 3. So we're not going to be messing with RSpec at all tonight. But if I decide to make more tutorials, maybe you'll see that. So, alrighty then, let's make some Haml happen. How do I do that? Well, as any good developer would do, I use the power of Google. As a professional software engineer, do not be afraid to use Google. You're going to use it. Just don't let that bother you. So I want to install Haml Rails, which means I need to slap this bad boy into my gem file. I'm going to copy this. We're going to jump back over to the VS Code. Oh, look, you can see what my hotkey is to turn it to the screen. Get rid of that. That's okay, I don't care. It's better than me pulling up OBS every single time, right? Anyway, let's pop open this gem file. I'm going to middle click that so it stays open for. Let's see, do we have embedded Ruby anywhere? No? So I guess that's just the main thing. Alright. So this is a general gem. We want this no matter what the environment happens to be. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop that right in here. Gem Hamel Rails greater than or equal to 2.0. That is now defined. Let's see. Now we want to bundle install without production. And if I've set this up correctly, bundler is going to give me an error saying, hey, don't use without, you need to set this thing. And I think I already have, but I forget. Yeah, the without flag is deprecated. So now it's going to install a couple new gems for me. Groovy. Let's go ahead and set this up so I don't forget. Let's see what this says. Without flag is deprecated because it relies on being remembered across bundler invocations. Bundler will no longer do in future versions. Please instead use bundle config set local without production. Okay. Bundle config local set. What's the rest of that? Oh, config set local. Set. And is that 1 or 2? It's 2. Okay. Without, then production. Gotcha. Without production. We don't necessarily want production gems when we're running locally because that's just gonna. What if you use Bing? Well, if you use Bing, then you're using Microsoft. How are you doing that? Says the guy using Microsoft stuff. But yeah. Okay, so that's now set. I think that was already set, but I forgot if I said that or not. Now, I know there's something else I need to do because that doesn't just magically change everything over. Pull that over here. Converting Rails application layout file to Haml format. Oh, look at that. There's that. Does that actually do that? Once Hamls is installed on the Rails application, you can convert blah, 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 using this command. Rails generate Haml application layout convert. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and run this guy real quick. Go ahead and copy paste. I don't normally do that, but I don't feel like bouncing back and forth. Plop that in right here. Bam. Command typed in here, and presto. Do it. Success. HTML.haml is created. Please remove the ERB file. Will do. Now jumping back over to the other Firefox, there's another thing. Converting all ERB views to Haml format. Convert all of them. Oh, well, I guess I could have. Isn't there a thing? Oh, I guess I. Well, am I going to use all those? Yeah, I guess I will. Let's go ahead and run this one too. Rails Haml, ERB to Haml. That's going to take all those ERB files and convert them into nice, delicious Haml files, which is good. I like that. It saves me time. Some of your HTML ERB files seem to already have Haml equivalents. Would you like to overwrite these Haml files? Sure, why not? Would you like to delete the original ERB files? Yes. Excellent. So now we've gone ahead and switched everything over to Haml. I believe it should be smart enough to do that when generating new views. Hopefully. I think it is. Like, do I have to do anything else? Let me double check this. Haml Rails generators for Rails 5, and assembly engine for to scan your own application RB file. File. Okay, well, I guess Rails will check that and it'll be like, oh, so I've got Haml Rails installed. Let's use Haml. Perfect. Okay, congratulations. We just finished the entirety of the first part of what I intended to do today. Hooray! So, with that being said, let's git add. So now everything is staged because we're using git like good people. we'll go ahead and not merge, commit it. Git commit swap here B to camel. Presto. Okay, now we can go ahead and push this up because you'll see here I'm already on a different branch. I'm on the initial setup branch, so I didn't have to change it or anything like that. Also got neat little stuff down here, like there's no pipeline for this, which is fine. This is also GitLab issue number 1 and GitLab MR number 1, which anyway, let's push this. Git push. It's gonna ask me for my password. Did I get it right? I think I got it right. Yay, it worked. Okay, so now we're going to jump over to box that is on fire once more. Jump back over this thing, and we'll see. All right, we're looking at the draft. Resolve initial setup. This is my own personal GitLab. Yay. So we can mark this as ready because I am pretty heckin' done with this. Let's see. Ah, there it is. There's the commit. Mark this as ready for review. And I'm going to approve it because I'm me. And then merge it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, it's best to let the things like GitHub, GitLab, whatever you tend to use, let that handle merging things into your main branch. Don't do it yourself if you have something like this, because you don't want to be making commits to main unless absolutely necessary. And I know the default branch name is usually called master, but times they are a changing, and now it's a bit more correct to just call it main. So here we go. Gonna go ahead and merge it. Delete the source branch because we don't need it anymore. Voila, source branch is being deleted and we're done. And voila, the issue is closed. Correct? It should have moved itself over. Hooray, it did it. Except it's still got the doing label. Because, you know, why not, right? Try that. Nice and consistent. And now let's mess with the thing model in CRUD. If you don't know what CRUD is, that is create, read, update, delete. We're going to be actually building crap. So let's see here. What we need to do is we need to create a new merge request, and it is going to be this branch name here. And it is going to be targeting main. So let's go ahead and make it. I think our server's a little bit old, so it's not the speediest thing in the world, but oh well. It's quite handy. I enjoy it. Okay, so now then, back to VS Code. I'm going to go ahead and real quick, I'm going to make it so that I don't have to type in my password all the damn time because that gets really annoying really quickly. Eval SSH agent. It's the sex number. All right, so now I can just be like, okay, git fetch. Fetch the latest changes to the repo. You can see that there is a new branch. That's the thing model in CRUD. And there's also been a push to main, so we'll go ahead and switch over to that. I could type out git commands myself, but for this, it's easiest to just click this little button here and hit up. Oh, well, it actually doesn't have main on the list yet. Oh, all right, then fine. We'll do it the hard way. Git check main. There we go. Now we're on the main branch. We have 2 commits coming down. So let's go ahead and git pull. And so now the main branch is locally up to date with everything that was on the remote branch. You can see all the changes we made. Everything is now different is groovy. Okay, so now let's go ahead and actually let's do this. Hit checkout track lab rat 2, then hit tab thingmall and crud, shazam. Set up to track remote branch. That setting up to track thing is very handy because that lets you see if you have commits that are going up or down. It lets you keep track of what the other side's state is. So now we are on our new branch. Let me take a quick drink real. Okay. So the first thing we want to do. We got our new Haml files. So let's poke this. Let's see what that looks like. Oh, I don't have better Haml? Why do I not have better Haml? VS Code. Why don't I have recommended? Do we have better Haml? No. I need that. Better Haml. Install. Yeah, sure, why not? I need it. Installed now? Okay, good. Actually, we can go ahead and that small. There we go. Now we have syntax highlighting. Very, very useful. Yeah, Haml and YAML are very similar. You'll see a lot of AMLs messing with stuff like this. So you'll notice this looks kind of similar to HTML, except there are pieces missing. These here are tag declarations. You'll see these curly braces that defines like properties. So I guess it'd probably be better to show it off when we actually get to stuff. Anyway, okay, so what we want to do now, the first thing you want to do when you want to create a new model. There are many ways to skin this particular cat, but my favorite way to do it is to generate a migration file. What a migration file does is it changes the state of the database. So you're going to see that schema.rb file actually do something. So we want to Rails generate migration add actually create thing. So that just created a file. Now, I could have created that file myself, but you see this long string of characters here? That is very important. Don't create these files yourself. Let Rails do it. It'll keep them in order for you. And order is extremely important. So let's have a look at that new file it just made. This is called a migration file. Oh, well, look at that. It wants to change a file. That's not bad at all. Should I just use a generator? I feel like I should just use it. You know what? Fuck it. Let's use a generator. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. You do want to generate migration files if you want to change things, but I make new models infrequently enough that I forget exactly how to phrase a create for that. So let's go ahead and Rails generate model thing. Now, why am I calling it thing? Because it's called, it's called Where's My Stuff. Oh yeah, that's why. Because it's called Where's My Stuff, stuffs doesn't really work very well for this. So I'm just going to call it things because you're tracking things. Like, for example, you order something on Amazon or wherever you order your products. You don't know where the hell they are. So that's what this thing's out to solve. It's to keep track of all that for you. Because if you order a whole bunch of different things, you're like, I've got like 7 things I'm waiting on, and I can't remember what some of them are. This will help you. All you got to do is plug it in, and it'll help you keep that stuff straight in your head. So let's go ahead and generate that. I'm not going to provide any arguments because I want to define the table structure myself because I'm a doofus. Bam. That did a little bit more. First thing it did was invoke active record. Then it created the migration file, created my thing.rb, which is a model, and it actually made some tests for us. Hooray! Oh, and it even made a fixture. Am I going to use fixtures or am I going to use factory bot? I don't think it matters. Let's go ahead and pop this open now. This is a little bit different. Now we have a create table things do. Oh yeah, I suppose I should actually I should actually discuss what it's actually doing in Ruby. So here we have a class declaration, create things. It is extremely important that this class name matches the name of the file. So that's why you don't want to make these yourself. And it is inheriting from active record migration for Rails 6.1. And in there we have a change method. And that method wants to create a table called things. And then we're going to enter a do block with an instance variable called t. Actually, is that an instance variable? I think that's a block local or something like that. But in other words, anywhere where you see this t, that is referring to this specific table that we are creating. Right now we're going to configure it. I'm actually going to need to pop open my notes because I have notes of what all my fields need to be. Let's have a look at that. Please stand by. I don't want to throw up. Maybe I could, but I'm not gonna. Let's see. Where are you? Did I do that? Did I put that in here, or is that somewhere else? Where are my notes? Actually, did I have that someplace else? Oh, I think I know where those are. Let's go over. Why did I not write this down? What the hell is wrong with me? Did I seriously not write this down? Oh well, fine, screw it. Screw it, we'll do it live. Let's see, we want... Alright. What would I need? I would need, if I'm going to track a package, I would need a name. Would it be the name? Okay, let's just say t.name, and that is going to be... Oh wait, that's not how that goes. No. String name null false. So this is going to create a column called string. Well, no, this is going to create a string column called name, and it cannot be false. This is going to be one of very few columns in this database, well, in this particular table, that is allowed to be false. We would like a description, so t.string description. That one can be false. It's not ended, but do it. Let's see. Is that a naive date time? Or is that just straight up date? Let's let me look. Another thing, you developer of the code, don't be afraid to refer to your own stuff. Let me think. Actually, let's see. Jump over to this window. Let me see here. We're gonna look and find out if I need a naive date time. Actually, it's probably just date time. Actually, better yet, Rails active record migration. Here we go. So yeah, here we go. T.string. Oh yeah, that should probably be text type, shouldn't it? That way it can be a little bit longer because I think string has a character limit. Just go ahead and turn that description into a text. All right. So let's see what kind of data types do we? I wonder if it's changing color. I want to know. Ah, tell me the types, my dude. Foreign key. Up down methods, we don't need to worry about that. That's when you're doing really complex stuff. That's when you use ups and downs. That's 6.1. Why don't I have a list of data types, you asshole? Fine, be that way. We'll just call it. Actually, those should be dates. Those should totally just be dates. Why would you need a time for a delivery time? Good point. Thank you, me. Okay, so you'll notice we've changed this over to a text. Yeah, imagine having an easily accessible lens. Except I do. I actually have a magnifying glass on my desk. And yes, I know you're just kidding. Let's see. We want t.date. That is going to be ordered. Date. That one, do we want that to be false? Or nullable? I don't think so. Null, false. Did I have a price somewhere? I swear I had a price somewhere. Do I dare? You know what? No. No, I'll add that column some other time. We're not going to track the amount you spent on it just yet. That's not as simple as just a decimal. It's a decimal with like precision and weird shit like that. Oh, cool. Sweet. Glad to hear it. You can watch me create this database entry. 1018. Okay. So we got the order done. T.date due on, and that's when it's going to arrive. I'm going to go ahead and leave this one nullable because you don't always know when it's supposed to be due on until it actually ships. Actually, that's a good one. Ordered on the date shipped. That one can be null as well. T.string tracking number. So that you can track it. And I'm going to try and see if like there's an API I can jump into to like generate a URL that'll take you to like UPS's tracking or whatever, like FedEx, etc. But Maybe that's possible. Maybe it's not. I don't know. The date arrived. A lot of these fields can be null just because sometimes you won't know immediately. Like I said, eventually there's going to be a price because I want you to be able to track, like, how much did I spend on this thing? Blah, blah, blah. But for now, we're mostly interested in the name and description and ordered on. Actually, I should probably set a default for that in case the user does not provide one. So let's default date day. Another fun thing that Rails can do. You don't want to, like, you have very powerful date commands, stuff like that. Yeah, decimal. Yeah, Postgres has that as well. The thing is, you can actually set it to be like specific money type. I forget what exactly you have to type into your migration. Make damn sure it's like, okay, so we want this precision to be like 2, but I forget what it was. I'd have to look at another migration file that I'm not at liberty to post on this stream. So, yeah. So this looks pretty good to me. This should do it. Now, is it going to index? Should already come with an ID, isn't it? It'll index the ID by itself. It doesn't need me to do that. Although, I might want to have an index on... Oh, but then that'd make it'd have to be null false. Never mind. Forget I said anything. It should do. If I have to add an index later, I will. So now that we have this migration file, we want to migrate the database and actually, have a table. Rails db migrate. Will it work? Yes, she worked. Now we have a table. Excellent. And now that we're finally done with the migration file, let's actually look at the model. Here's thing.rb. It's a thing. And it's in the application record. I wonder, do I have access to this thing? Let's find out. No! Damn it, my code snippet. Oh well. That's probably not important here anyway. Oh yeah, one thing I haven't done. Let's actually have a look at this thing, shall we? Rails server. Let's boot this sucker up. Hey, what's your name? At your service. Oh, dude. I'm so used to Mysterious Traveler. This one's at your service. That's cool. I like that. That's the name of the version they're using. Okay, we'll jump over here and then we'll go to localhost 3000. Hey, I am on Rails. Thank you for noticing. See? No Apache required. No Nginx, no nothing. It's just run the command and then there it is. And you can even see what it's doing. Select SQLite version. Blah 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 blah. Processing Rails. Welcome controller index as HTML. That's right. HTML. All you folks in the UK out there. And when you're done with it, just Control C and voila. Puma is shutting down. Okay, groovy. So we are styling. Let's go ahead and... Oh yeah, we can show off the schema.rb now, because that actually has something in it. Ta-da! Active record schema defined. Again, this is all stuff you should never ever touch on your own, but from here you can tell that there's a name, there's a description, there's an ordered on that defaults to now, I guess. Oh yeah, it defaults to... Oh, that doesn't process at the time. Oh. Clever girl. Oh, they're not. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm sorry. That's my fault. Here. Sorry. Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, this is the schema.rb file. Yeah, this I noticed this. So when it ran the migration, it literally did the date.today then and there. So it'll always be this very day, which isn't what I want. So we're actually just gonna. There we go. And then we're gonna run Rails DB, and we're gonna do something fancy here. After this colon, we're gonna open a curly brace, drop, create, migrate. Now what that's going to do is that's going to load the Rails environment one time and then invoke the database super command macro, whatever you want to call it. Then it's going to run these three in sequence. Normally you'd see something like Rails DB drop and Rails DB create and Rails DB migrate. It's going to have to load the Rails environment 3 separate times for that. No, screw that. Chain that. Here we go. Perfect. And now we don't have that silly day.today thing. I guess I'm going to have to tweak that later. Because I do want it to actually default to something, but I think I can actually just do that on the template level. So that's all we need from you. That's all we need from you. So now we have this class. Now, what the hell is this? Well, this is our model file, and the first thing I want to do is I want to add this little thing up here because we're using Ruby 3. Frozen string literal true. I don't entirely know what that does, but Rubocop recommends we do that on every single Ruby file. I may or may not be including that every single time, but yeah, so yeah. I don't know what it does, but yeah, this is the thing model, so we're going to go ahead and leave a little comment explaining that this is in fact the thing model. It tracks the things. And now when you hover over this, it's not going to do it. Thank you. Wait. Oh, I know why. I don't have Solar Graph. Why don't I have Solar Graph? Damn it all. We need that extension. Solar Graph. Hell yeah. I like Solar Graph. Solar Graph gem not found. Can do. Gem install Solar Graph. Let it do the thing. It's parsing documentation. VS Code extensions are fun. Yeah, not being like, yeah, this laptop not being able to actually show my desktop just in general and me having to switch different specific application captures is throwing me off. And it will continue to do so. So, yeah, I guess I have to pay attention, huh? And it's still not doing it. I'm guessing Solar Graph isn't able to run. Can you run? I'm probably going to have to reload that. I don't want to. I don't want to restart it because then VS Code will lose. I mean, OBS will lose track of it. Ah, screw it. We'll go without. We're big boys. Uh, okay, so anyway, back to the point. The thing model file lets you keep track of what thing does. So in this case, let's see, this is where all your validations would be. So validates, want to validate, what was it? Oh yeah, the name, presence, true. I believe that's right. Yeah. Validates a name. Like if you wanted a specific length for things, you'd add a validation for that here. Any fancy models and scopes. Like there will be scopes here later, so you can be like, scope thing. Can't say thing. I like to use thing, but that's the literal name of the model, and that'll be confusing. Scope. Do this week. I think that's how that goes. Maybe it's like this. I feel like it might be this. And you define the scope over here, and then later on you could be like, thing dot do this week, and it'll grab all the ones that fit this scope. What the scope does is just, you can be like, okay, database, I want to grab all the things where the due date is less than a week away. So handy stuff. Not really useful right now in this early stage, but we'll get there. Anyway, for now, we'll just leave this as it is. We want to validate that it does in fact take a name. Okay, so we have a thing model, but we don't have anything to really do with it. So let's have a look at our controllers first. Wait, didn't it mention a hello controller? Where is that actually located? I don't see that in my controllers directly. Let's find out by checking the router. Another interesting thing about Rails apps is that you have a router. You don't do your routing, it does the routing for you, and that is located here in this handy dandy config directory. Config routes.rb. You're going to be here a lot. There's not even a root URL? Hot damn. Okay. Alright. Fine, I guess it do be like that sometimes. Okay. Let me see how to define that, because I kind of expected that to be just like here. It should be as simple as just looking at any of my other Rails apps. Oh yeah. Yeah, I knew it was something like that, Yui. The frozen string literal thing. May I direct your attention over here? So this is Boggy Go Fast. This is my fancy handy dandy speedrun tracker. We're going to look at its routes file so that I can reference myself. Oh my god! So, yeah, okay, so here's this one's routes file. It's probably going to be fairly difficult. Font is small, but let's see, bump. So we have this root directive that routes to static pages home. So that's the static pages controller home method. I want to have one of those. And how is it getting? I don't fuck. Anyway, so we're going to jump back over here to the other doohickey. We're going to define that. Root. And so yeah, root, which is just root, that's going to be routed to, I guess we could do that. Static is home. So that would basically be like, this is your index.html. Yes. Alright, well fine, screw it. We also want to set up some routes for things. So all things should probably live under like a directory structure of like things new, things edit, one show, stuff like that. So because we're not going too far out of the box, Rails actually comes with handy dandy shortcuts for things like this. Make sure that we generate URLs. Oh, so this can basically replace Apache htaccess nonsense too? Kind of, sorta. I'm not entirely sure what htaccess does. Never really mess with it. But, yeah, this is where all your RESTful routing goes. So, but yeah, we want to build create, read, update, delete methods for the brand new thing model, which are going to go in the things controller. So thankfully, Rails anticipates you doing this a lot, so we can just resources. Is that right? Pretty sure it's a symbol. Looking at my other, looking at Loggy Go Fast, and I'm thinking to myself, why in the hell do I have this? Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Resources things. Groovy. God, I gotta go back. Hold that. Oh, sweet. Good to know. Let's see. That we are done with the router. I think there's nothing in the. Where in the hell is that controller then? As you see up here, scrolling up, when we hit that, Rails welcome controller home. Where the hell is that? Is that like hidden? It must be like some built-in thing. Oh, I bet it's because we don't have root defined. We don't have like there's like a built-in one. There's a built-in controller. Interesting. I wonder where that lives. I have no idea where that lives. Interesting. The plot thickens. So, okay, two things we're going to need to build. I created a static pages controller, right? So that doesn't exist. So if we run Rails server, oh, it won't run. Oh dear, oh my. Oh heck, oh gosh. Actually, that's a lot of, so that made it very angry. Exiting. Ruby. Implicit conversion of symbol to integer. Wait, what? Routing mapper. I hecked up. Where did I heck up? I hecked up. How did I heck up? Rails, routes. Yep, it's something wrong with this. If only I had Solar Graph working. It would tell me exactly what my gun. Maybe it can just do this. Bomb. Ba-da. Is that right? Yeah, that looks better. Okay. So now we can be like Rails server. Jump back over here. Jump over here and oh no! Oh dear! So this is a development environment error. See how helpful this is? It tells you it's a routing error, an uninitialized constant static pages controller, and it shows you your routes. Isn't that nice? It's lovely, isn't it? So it tells you what the route path is. You get it by going to here. That directs to the static pages home. Oh, and here's a fun one. See this? This is a Rails console. You can be like params. Name error, undefined local variable or method params. But yeah, it's like a literal console. It's extremely handy. I love it. This does not show up if you're running in production mode. Keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to VS Code. And we're going to go ahead and shut down the server. And let's see, we need that static pages controller. So let's make it. New file, static pages controller RB. Start with our frozen string literal true. And we're going to define ourselves a Kizity controller and throw this over here as a reference. This is class static pages controller. And over here, you'll see that it's inheriting from action controller base. We don't want to do that. We want to inherit from the application controller itself. Application controller. A fun thing that Rails likes to do as part of its how it works is if it says application followed by something, application means this is effectively global. Everything that is like all controllers should inherit from the application controller, because this is where you'd put your handy dandy methods that you're going to see everywhere. Stuff those in here. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and inherit from that. And then we are going to create our home method. We don't need to do anything fancy beyond that, so let's just def home. There's no real logic that needs to go in here, so I can actually just def home semicolon end. Make that a one-liner. And then end the method. And voila, the static pages controller is built. Voila, and all that stuff. But we're still kind of up shit creek without a paddle, aren't we? Have a look at this. Jump back over to here. Reload it. Oh no! Static pages controller home is missing a template. Oh no! So we need to build a template for this. Thankfully, I am not stupid. I know how to build templates. Let's do it. So we're going to go back over here. We're going to minimize this. I'm just going to go ahead and leave the server running in the background because it will actually update automatically. I don't know why I keep closing it. So now we want to go down to the views. Views are fun. We want a new directory in the views called static pages. And then within that directory, we want a home HTML haml. And voila. And now we can be like h1. This is a line of text. We aren't glad you came here. And then jump back over to that and still not there. Hang on a minute. What's your beef, chief? Where is this? Oh, damn it. I didn't want to go in there. Move this out. Yes, move it. Do as I command. Perfect. Now the directory structure, right? Let's try that shit again. Back over here. Please wait while it compiles the shit. Ta-da! Oh, wow, this is interesting. I've never seen this. That must be the load time. This little guy right up here. Fascinating. That must be a Rails 6.1 thing. Or maybe a Ruby thing? I don't know. I've never seen that before. That's cool as hell. I like that. It tells you the render time. Nice. So yeah, so our page works now. Yay. Let's jump back over to the code of VS and okay, so we got our static pages figured out. We've done quite a number of things. In fact, we've got 8 files modified according to Git. So let's go ahead and make a commit since we've done a bunch of shit. All of it. So I'm going to go ahead and shut down less server. Add. Add everything. Git commit. Set up thing model. Static pages ruler. And voila. And now we have this little up one symbol. You have this down here as well. So that means you're sitting on a commit that needs to go up. Handy dandy stuff. That's why we set it to track remotely. Now I can get rid of this because I don't need that as a reference anymore. On we go. So static pages controller is donezo. Now we need ourselves a handy dandy things controller. A controller for things. Things controller RP. Frozen string literal. Cool. Things controller. Because I like to have class docs. Anyway, class things controller inherit from application. Now this one is going to be a little bit different. We are actually going to have all kinds of fancy handy dandy crud for this one. So that means we're going to have separate methods to handle creating, reading, updating, and deleting. I like to define these methods in that particular order. So I'm going to go ahead and end the method there just so I don't forget to add that later. I'm going to jump in here. Let's see. Is there any before actions that I need to do? I do not think so. So let's just dive right in. We want def new. So we're starting with the creating portion of it. Def new. And we're going to do render locals. Now, a lot of times you'll see folks be like, okay, so when you define your controller methods, what you want to do is thing equals thing new, right? Yeah, you will use this. This is called an instance variable. These are pretty handy, except there's one fatal flaw that not a lot of people seem to realize. You don't want to use instance variables because they can be modified out from underneath you on their way to the view. So for example, if you use like will paginate or something for pagination, that gem will actually adjust what this actually does on the way to the view. So it may have different behavior when it gets there than when it started here. So instead, we're going to do this. Render. We're going to tell it to render, and we're going to provide a local variable through locals. We're going to say thing equals thing.new. Because we're going to be creating a new instance of a thing. So, and then we're going to go ahead and end it there. And now we get to do the oh so fun and totally not extremely obnoxious process of creating a form. I hate creating forms. But before I do that, I should probably def 8. Now this one, we're not going to render anything right off the bat. You'll notice that we have new create. Aren't those the same thing? Not necessarily. So, let's see. We make a create. I'm so used to doing these by using service objects, I've almost forgotten how to actually write up a create method. Just going to go ahead and stub that here. We're going to stub in a few other methods. Def show. This is for when you want to show one thing. And def index. No, that's not the index, but it is. It's a list of all of the things. Def edit, that's for the edit form. Def update, that's to actually update it behind the scenes. Def destroy, or when you want to kill that shit. At least I think it's destroy. Let's double check that. Rails routes rep update thing destroy delete things ID format things destroy. Yeah, okay, so it's looking in the things controller for the destroy method. Crud, we are so close to Venom. Are we? Perhaps. So yeah, these are the methods you'll typically find in here. Then you'll usually find a private block. That just defines that everything below this line is considered a private method. And here we're going to define parameters. So we want def thing params. I believe that goes a little something like params require thing permit. I need to. Do I have an example of that? Let's see. Let me double check something real quick because I don't. It's been a while since I've had to write. Usually have other references. Let's see. Up. I'm gonna bump over to here so you can see what I'm up to. And boggy go fast. We want the controller. Let's see. Let's go for the games controller. Sure, I've got game params, right? I wasn't stupid. Yeah, params.require game name slug info. So it's gonna look something like this. No, I didn't want to open a terminal. I'm gonna open this guy. Here we go. See, I'm not dumb. I just pretend like I am sometimes. So, okay, now we want to be able to pass in certain parameters. This params deal makes it so that you can't just pass in anything you want. You can only pass in certain things, everything else will get ignored. So you must pass in a thing in order for it to take notice, and you are only allowed to pass in the following parameters. This is where that schema.rb comes in handy. So we're going to open that schema rb. We're just going to throw that off to the side so we know what to look for. So we want a name, a description, ordered, shipped. Actually, you know what? There are a lot of these, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to break this into multiple lines. Please stand by. Yes, you can totally multi-line these nice and easy. I love it. Things stay nice and concise. Actually, I should probably, because eventually RuboCop is going to be a part of this, and I want to kind of prepare this for that. I'm going to indent these so that they line up. It's, I think it goes like this. It's not pretty. I can't remember how many indentations there need to be, but it's something like that. I don't fucking know. RuboCop ain't here to tell me what to do yet, but I'm gonna try and do it proud, I guess. We'll back that up. Description shipped on what? Tracking for due on arrived. Okay, so you can pass in these specific parameters so long as they're nested inside of a thing. Anything else? And you'll see in the console, it'll be like, hey, there's an unpermitted parameter here. but generally Rails will just ignore it and be like, yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to this because I'm not supposed to. Okie dokie. So let's see if I can figure out how to correctly write a 8. Let's jump back over to Fire LaFox. Why? Why is this like this? This is an incrud order. What the hell did I do? Oh, look. Aha, see? There's those goddamn instance variables. Don't do that, me. Let's see here. So, okay. Why do I do that twice, though? Now, what the hell? Fine. Okay, we'll do it that way. Bounce back over here. And I need to find a different key for that because I keep on accidentally typing 6 into here. We want... Actually, I guess that does make sense. Here. Well, not the instance variable. Thing equals thing dot new thing params. If thing save. If this saves successfully, if it saves successfully, we want to... Do I even have flashes? Let's find out. Flash info equals things. Oh, I should probably thing saved successfully. Do I have flashes? Let's find that out. We're gonna leave this open and we're gonna jump into application H. Do I have that? JavaScript pack. Da, da, da. I'm not seeing flashes. Okay, so I guess I just don't have those? That's kind of weird. Fine, I don't have flashes. Be that way. Oh well. We will comment that out, because I want those. I'm going to add them later when I figure out how to actually add those, because I take those for granted. All a Flash really does is it throws a little piece of text on the screen that says, hey, you did the thing. Actually, that might be a helper. Is that a helper? Is there anything in helpers? Hello? No. You get no help. No help for you. Okay. So then it is created successfully. Now we want to redirect. Cool. If this saves successfully, I want to take us to the things URL. Now notice I said things and not thing. That's important. That's going to take me to this index method down here. Else redirect back. Callback location root URL. So I don't know where else to send you. If this fails, you should probably go home. Normally, I'd also have a flash warning. Flash warning. Shit's broke. Go. And that is the method. I don't think I need service objects for this thing, to be completely honest with you. Normally, I'd have like something like response equals things 8 thing call thing params thing params. And that's how I'd do it. And I'd create a little service object that would create the thing. So I could have like super duper fine grained control on it. I don't think that's necessary. This is gonna be tiny. Yeah, pretty much. You failed. Go home. Get the hell out of here. Okay, so that's our creation methods. Um, let's see. Show. The show method, that one's pretty simple. We want render locals thing dot find params. So when you click on a thing to look at it as an individual, we want to tell the database, hey, give me a thing that has this ID, and the ID is the key parameter. URL will look something like things one show, or probably just things one. That'll I'll take this one and be like, hey, find me the first thing with the ID of one. And then we have the index. That one, render locals things. Again, there's that plural thing.all. So we're gonna grab all the things. Edit. We're just going to render locals. Thing is thing.find. That should do that. Update's gonna look very familiar. Thing equals thing find params e if thing dot update slash info thing updated successfully. Redirect to thing. That'll automatically redirect it to the thing you just updated. Else redirect back. Callback location things. And actually that ends. All right. Destroy. This one's pretty damn simple. Thing.find params e dot destroy. That one will just redirect back, call back location things URL. Okay, so we've got a bunch of methods here, but we have no templates. Let's make us some templates. So we want to create a folder in here called, and we're going to have to write a gittity gosh damn form. New HTML YAML. I still want to type .html.erb. I haven't been using ERB in like a year, but I still want to do it. It's in my blood. I'm gonna save this before I forget to save it. And I load up the server and I'm like, why the hell isn't this showing up? So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna test to make sure that this actually does the thing. H1 create a new thing, you saucy bastard. We're also gonna create show html.yaml. And we're actually, this is the first instance you're going to see of me actually calling dynamic data. So this one, we're going to type h1 equals. And we're going to have little quotation marks. this is, you are looking at, actually, we'll just have thing dot name. And yeah, that'll be its name, and it'll be like p equals, let's see, we want relevant information. Ordered on. Then we're gonna do some string interpolation. Thing.ordered on, because we're actually getting the field of the thing that we passed. Remember back over here when we were like, on the show page, we want to pass in a local variable called thing, and we want that to be thing.findParams_id. Well, here is that thing. So this is the thing I was referring to. And when you grab something from the database, you get methods for each of its fields. So if you say thing.name, it's literally going to say the name of the thing. It'll also tell you the ordered on information and other fancy stuff like that. Oh yeah, page rendering is damn simple, because you don't have to type this in manually. Like it just knows. Like, well, I mean, you have to type in the template manually, but like coming from a background of having all static pages and like millions of different pages, like the prototype for Boggy Go Fast, how that was a static PHP website. Yeah, there was nothing dynamic about that. For the Ori speedruns page and the Super Metroid page, yeah, I had to write all that shit by hand. I don't have to do that anymore. I can just be like, I'm creating a game and it has this name. Style these pages accordingly. And Rails is like, I got you, fam. So now I can be like, index HTML haml. Notice how I'm creating pages that have the same name as the methods in the things controller. Yeah, that's on purpose. Rails is going to look for every single one of these. Well, maybe not every single one of them, but if you have a render directive here, it's going to look for a new.html.haml. Not going to look for a create because you're posting to create. But for every one of these that you intend to use an HTTP GET request for, it's going to look for a template for that. So you need new, show, index, and edit, and that's it. So right now we're on the index. Here are some things. And here's where the fancy Rails logic comes in. You can be like, okay, I want in this template page, I actually want to do some logic. So if things empty, actually things.count.0. In other words, if there are if the things variable isn't actually holding anything, I want to do this. There are no things system. And then I can be like, else. Actually, this is where a partial would come in. So I'd be like, render partial thing. Do we want a local? Oh, right. Yeah, we'd actually things to each to t. Actually, t because they're things. Set up another little logical block. Things that each do t. So for everything in this things in this things variable, for each thing you have in there, I want to do something with it, and we're going to refer to the individual as t. Render partial thing. locals thing E. So, what's a partial, you ask? Well, a partial. Well, I'll explain a little bit better here in just a sec. So, yeah, that is how we that. So you have the directive to render a partial. Interesting thing about Haml. Haml works a bit like Python. Notice how in Ruby, every time we opened with a do, we had to end it. You don't have to do that in Haml. You outdent from this block. As soon as you reach line 8, you're out of there. It ends it for you. Actually, I think I can close schema.rb. I'm not really using that. Except I am in just a second, but I don't realize that yet. So now we have the index page. We need to go ahead and make that partial before I forget. If you want to create a partial, you want to name them underscore, then the name of the partial that you just mentioned. So for this case, I want to render a partial called thing. So it'd be underscore thing HTML. And as soon as it sees that directive, every time, like for each thing in that collection of things, it's going to render this. And that will be, let's see, e equals thing.name. We're just going to leave it at that for now. So it's just going to give us the name of it. And I guess BR. So there's a line break, which actually that could serve as spacing. Let's see. We got the index, we got the show, we got new, we got edit, which is going to be very similar to new. We're going to be working on something that already exists. Edit HTML Haml. That will be h1 equals edit package string interpolation thing. And then we'll render a form here. I don't know if I want to make a form. Forms suck. I hate forms. Let me see if I have an example somewhere that I can totally steal from shamelessly. Please stand by. Actually, it'd be a good time for me to get like a drink. Button? Did I do good? I did good. Yay, it's the right button. I'm gonna get a drink. Not so parched. Please wait while I go find a form that I can totally not steal all the code from. Yeah, white space matters. That's how you nest inside of like divs and whatnot. Have like a div line, then you indent. Okay. I think I got something now. Here's hoping. Alright. Let's see here. We want. Ooh. Come on then. There it is. Alright. So, I think I have what I am looking for. We're going to create another partial. First, we're going to go back to new and we're going to tell it render partial form thing locals thing. So we're just passing along that thing local variable so that the partial has access to it too. I like to have little spaces in here. Okie dokie, now let's make this thing. Shall we? New file, form thing, HTML, camel, and we are in there, boy. Okay. Form with model thing local through do F. F is for form. I don't know why I do. I just do. Let's see. So first we want f.label. So we're gonna label it. Yeah, this is where that schema RB would come in. Schema. We're gonna throw you off to the side so I know what I'm entering here. F.label. Name. Package. Oh, by the way, why am I not calling this where's my package? Because then I'd have to have a package model, and I'm pretty sure package is a reserved word in Ruby. So, yeah, don't want to do that. That's bad. Don't do that. Let's see. Man, I don't have any CSS to work with. This is gonna look like hot garbage. Apologize in advance. It's all gonna be like thin and shit. I'll write some up later. F dot. Oh, well, shit, it's right in front of my face. Excellent. Thank you, Better Hamel. We want a text field. F dot text field. Name. All right. Want the text field for that, and now we want F table. Actually, I should this little breathing room. Oh yeah. Yeah, function before form. I'm just used to having stuff. This one is description. Description. Actually, I should do that here too. And this one will be f text area. That will give it a little bit more room. Description. F dot label. The next one is ordered. And this one, actually, leave that like that and equals f dot date field. Actually, date select. I love date select. order. I'll show you why in a minute. Actually, I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to have commas in there. That's an argument. And this one. And that just lets HTML5 know, hey, you need this. Left label. Shipped on. Ship. Date. Select. If. Yeah, this just goes on. For each of these, you have to do one of these. Backing. Yeah, you can see why I might not like doing this. Because it take a while and they're a bit monotonous. Okay. And now we need a button to submit it. If not, submit. We'll just go with submit. Later on, I'm actually gonna create a helper. We're gonna do one of those things where we can be like, hey, you can pass in a local that says what this button text is supposed to be. Actually, I could just do that shit right now. Fuck that. Button text. So this right now will return an error. Simply because there is no such thing as a button text. It doesn't know what the hell that I mean by that. So we're going to pass that in as a local. Thing is thing. Button text. Add thing. Voila. That way we can have this show conditionally depending on whether or not you are adding a new one or you're editing one that already exists. So we can actually go over here to render partial form thing locals thing button text update. Voila. And that should, in theory, work. And realistically speaking, that should be. Let's see here. Rails server. Fire it up. And we'll go ahead and jump back over to listen. That's not. Oh, there it is. Oh, hey, it has a ton. Yeah. Neato. Oh, we don't have any links yet, so we're gonna have to do this manual thing. Shit. What did I do? What did I do? Unexpected. Expected end. You lie. Okay, back to code. Don't make a liar out of me, dude. It's in the index. Let's see. Did I not close something? Talk about this. I've done. Oh, it's a problem in the controller. What did I miss? What? Did I not close something? Oh, it might be referring to that. Is it telling me I can't multi-line that? Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't end the method. That would help. Yeah, thing params just kind of went on forever. It didn't have an end. It was unclosed. Yeah, there you go. All right. Now let's jump back over here. Try this shit again. Here are some things. There are no things in the system. I'd also normally throw down a new, so let's go ahead and new. What the hell? Check. And what's your problem? Is it package name? Or is it this? It's got some what? Syntax error. Unexpected string literal. Expecting a closed parentheses. Did I not close a print? No, I closed that. What are you talking about? Oh, I think I know. Picky bastard. Jump back over to code. Yeah. Can you tell what I did wrong? I even commented on it. A comma. Because you're giving a list of arguments. And it doesn't know when one argument ends. And okay. Now let's try it again. Yeah, this is a lot of what you're gonna be doing. Oh boy. What now? Ordered on required. Implicit conversion of symbol into hash. What? Is it because of required? Line number 9. So okay, let's maybe it's supposed to be required true. Let me go ahead and update that real quick. I'm just gonna leave it off. Required true. Let's try that. I like them apples. Is that better? Hey. Oh god. Dude. You're allowed to create new lines, you know. Fuck's sake. Alright. Okay, I can't work with it. That's what we in the business like to refer to as ugly. So we're gonna just we're just gonna throw in line breaks after all of these because it doesn't do that on its own question mark. I don't know. That's so dumb. Why is that not a thing? I must be I don't know. Weird shit, weird shit. But anyway, we're working through it. We're getting the shit done. That's B4, that's not BR. And we want another break here. Alright. Now jump back to here. Bam. Update. Okay. It's still ugly as sin, but this is tolerable. Okay, so we're going to create a package. We're going to call it, what is a thing I would ship? Memes. Description. There are a lot of them. It was ordered today. It was shipped. Let's go with 20th. Yeah, this is the date select. I love these. I think there are even better ways to do that too. Oh, but it always. Oh. Oh, that I might need to. Interesting. Okay. That's a browser specific thing. I may need to refactor that because it's already providing values for due on and arrived on and shipped on, etc. When honestly, the only one I want is ordered on. The rest of these I don't really give a shit about. Just for sake of displaying them later, we'll go ahead and give this a tracking number. This is tracking. And we'll add the thing and watch it break. Oh, dude, it did it. And hey, there it is. There's memes. I found it. Now we can go things/1, and there it is. It was ordered on that date. See? That's how it works. It's that simple. You too can be like, hey. Oh, goodness. So yeah, that's the general flow of just starting out building up stuff and things. Uh, so we've got the basic functionality we want. Let's go ahead and throw in some links and then we'll call it a night. Go down here, gonna go ahead and shut that down. It's out of my way because screen real estate is premium right now. Let's see. How do we want to do this? I want to open home HTML haml. And we're gonna add a link. But first, actually, that's a good idea. Let's go ahead and save things or commit them rather. Git add, git commit, and we're gonna leave the git comment fires up things controller and voila. Now we got two going up. Hooray, hurrah. Now we can add more to it. I need to make a commit or I need to make a link. So we're gonna go with p equals we're probably looking for the and then we're gonna interpolate ourselves a nifty little string here. Link to things URL. Now, will that actually... That should do that. That should be fine, right? I shouldn't have to save that, right? Right? Let's find out. That's important. We're gonna bounce back over to here and we're gonna get rid of all this extra stuff and shit. I knew I was gonna do that. Alright, you're probably looking for the aref HTTP localhost 3000 things. Yeah. That's not what we want. That's taking that literally. So I know what I need to do. Okay, so we're gonna bust this out. We're gonna take this, we're gonna chop it. Just like that. And we're gonna get rid of quotes because we need them where we're going. We're actually gonna embed this inside the p tag. So remember how I said you can embed things inside of tags by simply indenting them? So now this line here is embedded inside the p tag. We want to add a link tag inside of that. But this one already has text in it, and we want to be able to write just pure Ruby code. So we're going to add a new line here, throw in an equal sign, and then we're going to drop in that link to directive, and that should fix it. That way we don't have to do scary things like use HTML safe. You should use sparingly because that means Rails is not going to check anything. And voila! There it is! Oh my god! Boom! Here are the things! It's fantastic. It's magical. And now we can go back here and create a few more links. It's going to be flippin' cool. It's going to be like OMFGBs. Let's see. We got the index. So we're going to have a p tag here. Create some new link to things. New thing URL. Is that right? Here's a cool thing you can do, kids. Shut this down real quick. Rails routes. That'll list all of your routes. The only problem is because this is so zoomed in, it's a bit of a clusterfuck. Let's see. You want new thing URL. Yeah, that's it. New thing, that's a name. So whenever you want to refer to this URL, this is a GET request to things new, blah, blah, blah. You get it. Go ahead and Rails server. That run in the background. Okay, so we can be like link to thing. Oh, that should be good. And let's see. I kind of wish I had a like. For now, we'll just go with this. Link to things URL. Get me out of here. Well, just a little bit of teensy weensy navigation. New lines are expensive if it's like the 1950s or 1970s or whenever stuff was at a premium. Let's see. Do I have anything open? No, I don't. Cool. All right. Oh, it started doing the thing, has it? Is it really? Son of a bitch. Just a VS Code bug. It's not keeping up with what I'm doing. It's not accurately updating the amount of mods I have. Unless I tell it to refresh. I wonder if that's Gitlins. I don't know. It's annoying, I'll say that. So that should be some pretty basic. Let's jump back here. Boom. We got the new. Okay, that works for me. This right here should actually link to the thing. Let's go ahead and make that happen. That way we can get to the show link easier. So, all right, we want the index page. Actually, no, we want the thing partial. Where's the thing partial? There it is. Okay, so this is going to be sitting inside p tag p equals link to thing.name, thing.name being the text that shows up, thing URL, thing.id. So it's going to take it to a thing URL, passing in the parameter, which is the thing's ID. And that should just work. TM. See. Did that do it? No, I broke it. How did I break it? I gave it 1, it expected none. But it's... What you talking about, Willis? Now you're supposed to get to the ding-dang thing. Oh, well, it's referring to a specific instance of it. Maybe it already knows. Okay. Let's just chop off that thing ID argument and see if that fixes it. Are you smarter than a 19th grader? Nope. Missing required keys ID. Oh, you mean the thing that I passed to you, dipshit? Alright. Fine. Let's be a little bit more explicit about it then. Alright, so thing URL. Link to thing.name. Thing URL. But, let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. God. Let's see. Feel like it if it's... that's not a hash, though. It's not a key. I know I do this before. What the hecky? Alright, let's jump over here. Let's see how I do this. I'm doing something goofy, and I think it's because I'm tired. Let's jump up to here, jump to views. Let's go to games again. Game HTML ERB. Link to game info. Like, see, this passes an argument. Oh. Path, not URL. That's the problem. Path. .id. That was a problem, I'll bet you. Here. And get rid of that. Get rid of that. That. Okay. Mother Smurfer. Why are you being like this? How in the hell doing that then? Like, you see it here. Categories. Run path game slug. Did I forget a comma? Yes, that is that. Son of a bitch. Yeah, I am tired. That's the problem. I think I forgot a comma. Ta-da! Feel like a dumb. What'd I do? Get me out of here. I forgot one there too. Yep. You gotta separate your arguments with commas. There we go. Alright. Yeah. Okay, so that's got that. Very simple, basic stuff. Hooray, hurrah. I was just missing commas, and now it all works. Groovy. With that being said, let's see here. There any editors that need saved? Not. Okay. Well, in that case, I think that covers all that I wanted to cover for today. Like you get kind of a basic idea of kind of stuff you need to do. Let me see here. Add it adds basic navigation views. And now I can push that shit. Push it. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, we better hurry too, because my GitLab server is about to boot in a few minutes. So let's jump over here. Go over here. I have a new push. Actually, I'm gonna do this over there so I don't accidentally reveal things that needn't to be revealed. Yeah, man. Okay. So now, back in here, we got our merge request. Draft, resolve things, model, and CRUD. Let's see here. What did I do? I added 3 commits 36 seconds ago. Set up the thing model, static page, hooray, hurrah. No pipeline. I would love to make a pipeline, but I'm not going to do that today because I don't hate myself that much. So I'm going to mark this as a ready. Making pipelines can be an interesting process. Very interesting process. So, yeah, okay, we went ahead and approved that. The changes, it's all good. And now we're merging it, and now we're closing it, and then hooray. But just in case, you can actually still look at the changes. Are we still in zoomy doomy vision? Let's control 0. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit better. One neat thing about GitLab and GitHub is you can see the changes for each individual file. A lot of these were just adds, so not really anything to compare it to. Stuff on the right. Oh, here we go. Here's one where we edited the router. Yeah, you can go over it and review, like, okay, what all did this guy do? He edited 15 files, did all this crazy stuff, and then he added the thing. Oh. Oh, yeah, there's a fixture. Oh, yeah, I guess I could run the test suite for no damn reason. Want to run the test suite for no damn reason? Let's run the test suite for no damn reason. Rails test. Hey, it's broken. Sweet. I expected. Cannot load such file. XML document. What? What the fuck are you talking about? What is this? I don't know what that is. Oh well. I don't care. I'm gonna be swapping it out with our spec anyway, so who gives a shit? So test suite's red, but then again, there aren't really any useful tests, so I don't really care. Anyway, let's see here. I believe it is this button. Hey, that is the show. Yeah. Oh yeah, punctuation. Sometimes punctuation is a right bastard. Yeah, that's all I really had to show for tonight. That's like a very basic rundown of the general flow of things. Don't know if I will be continuing this series in particular or not. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. It's an awful lot of talking, but we'll see. Either way, I hope you've enjoyed yourself. It has been a day. It has been a thing, and shit is getting done, and it is groovy. So, yeah, that was some Ruby on them their Rails. Um, yeah. So, yeah, that's it. And I guess I will see you next time when I probably stream something that is not Ruby on Rails. It might be Ori and the Will of the Wisps. It might be Axiom Verge Randomizer because Tom Happ is making an official randomizer for Axiom Verge. Well, it's not really Tom Happ, but Tom Happ's helping him out. That is going to be very, very interesting. Official randomizer for Axiom Verge. Delish. I'll have some of that, please. Yeah. Thanks for watching, and I hope you got something useful out of this. Take care then. Bye bye now.